Don't unfollow here. The internet's busiest music nerd. And it's time for a review of the new Dope Body record, Kunk! Kunk! Dope Body is a Baltimore, Maryland band that I've been following pretty closely since the release of their full-length record, Natural History, a few years ago. Great record, love it. It's primal, it's noisy, it's killer. It'll smash your face and rock your hips and get you sweating all night long. Give a listen to it. Give a listen to it. That record to me was just very visceral, carefully crafted insanity. However, the follow-up to that album, Lifer, wasn't as groove heavy, wasn't as like hard, heavy beats. It was a bit speedier, a bit messier, a little more in the moment. Kind of felt like a live recording, but kind of psychedelic in how all of the guitars, the drums, and the vocals were melting together in this really cacophonous, intense mix. And some pretty good songwriting on this record too. Even though Dope Body, as abrasive as they are, and as crazy and cuckoo and as nutty as they are, they write some good tunes. Now, I spoke with a few members of this band recently about their forthcoming record over here, Kunk, because I was excited about it, and I got a little insight into the creative process of this record, the writing and the recording process, and the band was essentially telling me that a lot of these songs were derived from improvisations, jams that they were doing together, either just straight improvisations or just kind of ideas conjured during these jams, during these improvisations, and then taking these ideas and sort of putting them into a studio recording. So after hearing that, knowing that, understanding that, I was looking forward to hearing how that kind of impacted the final product on their latest record over here. And I actually think it's pretty clear from the start that that is exactly the approach that Dope Body took when recording songs on this record. Improvised and in the moment and on the fly is how many songs on this album feel. The opening track, Casual, has a very tense, heavy groove to it. There's some awesome drums on this track, shots of guitar feedback and noise all over this thing, but the beat, the groove, it's very, like I said, tense, it's repetitive, it's redundant. In a way, it's hypnotic. It's like Dope Body is just taking this one idea and trying to string it out as long as possible with just a couple variations here and there, just kind of jumping back and forth between these two guitar variations to kind of give the song some contrast and some sense of verse, chorus, or whatever. But it actually doesn't really do too much to make the song feel like it's moving in a direction. The track actually feels kind of cyclical, kind of like a, I don't know, like a bit of a musical purgatory, like you're stuck in one spot. After that, Dope Body goes into completely different territory with the song Dad, which is this really odd slow-mo rock detour that sounds like a freaking nightmare. I just wish it were longer, and not just kind of this weird experimental bit that we only get like a glimpse of. On this very brief album, Dope Body gets some crazy, freaking like insane ideas down to tape. I think I might favor the song... I think I might favor the album Lifer a little bit more because I think the writing is better. It's a little more... I think I might favor the album Lifer a little bit more because the writing is there. It's a little more coherent, but some of the spots on this record are jaw-droppingly strange or just really gut reaction, like explosive, like the song Void, the closer here, which is the longest track on the record. It actually sort of has a length to it that I wish a lot of songs here did. The build on this song is fantastic. It's really tense. It really catches me and I'm locked into it. And then by the time the drums really kick in and the vocals really kick in, Dope Body reaches a level of like animalistic insanity I haven't even heard them approach on previous records. I think the energy is there. I think the performance is there. I think it was easy for the band members to get whipped up into the intensity of some of these recordings as they were making them. But standing on the outside of that, just as the listener, I think on the writing end of things, this track and a lot of other tracks on here that feel similarly improvised are kind of lacking. I think the sound, I think the recording on this record is great though, even though the writing isn't always top-notch, because Dope Body's just kind of throwing ideas out there to an extent, just kind of throwing shit at the wall, seeing what sticks. Again, the sound and the mix and just some of the weird experiments and noises that end up on these songs are really ear-catching. Kunk is just really about breakneck decisions and just really letting go of inhibitions that would usually be keeping you from doing something a little weird, a little inaccessible. And Dope Body kind of cobbles all these strange recordings and ideas together onto this record, which doesn't flow in any kind of coherent way. It kind of sounds like an experimental punk band's Frankenstein monster of an album. However, there are some tracks on the track listing here, though, while they do have that improvised feel and that really noisy, cacophonous, in-the-moment intensity, they do feel fully fleshed, and they do feel like a good idea was conjured here. It feels like Dope Body, they're trying to flex their improvisational muscles on this record, and sometimes it works out, sometimes it doesn't. In the case of the song Old Gray, it sounds great. Tons of sharp feedback on this track. Really great groove, a great drum beat, grimy bass line. I love the odd vocals on this track as well, and the song Obey, too. This song is creepy as hell. One of the creepiest rock songs I've heard in a while, whereas Muddy Dune or Ashtoke feel more like a fleeting bit of stimulation. So many of the tracks on here could have been so much more interesting if there was only a point B for the song to travel to from the point A where it starts. And sometimes that doesn't happen because the band doesn't really try to progress the song musically in any kind of way, or the song just kind of ends out of the blue before it really has the chance to establish itself or leave a lasting impression. This album just really kind of feels like a bit of a mixtape of sorts, or just like a really well-recorded demo or something like that of just not completely realized ideas, but they're still kind of exciting and fun to listen to. The track Goon Line is definitely an example of that. I mean, not only is the guitar riff on this track like a weird psych rock throwback, and it just has this heavy, just lumbering groove that plays throughout the song, but the noisy guitars and the vocals and the really just hard, aggressive drumming on this track, it makes the song hilariously ugly. Like, it's just so garish. It just puts a smile on my face with just how gruesome it sounds. Very few bands kind of go into the studio with this freewheeling sort of notion of experimenting and just being like, you know, fuck it, whatever happens sort of happens, and this record really puts that feeling forward. It's entertaining in its most aggressive and high volume moments, and it's pretty entertaining as well during some of the quieter spots here, like the song Down, which might kind of feel like a very easygoing, kind of aloof, quiet little rock tune, but it's actually pretty sweet and enjoyable for what it is. I think this record is good. It's very good. It's very interesting to hear a band like Dope Body put themselves in a risky spot like this, but I do wish this album was longer. You know, for as experimental and as out there as it is, you'd think that more stuff would have ended up on this record, but maybe the band was sort of doing these improvisational recordings, doing these weird experiments, but then when it came time to finally decide what made it onto the record, maybe they were super critical and super discerning about what people actually ended up hearing. Maybe they thought a lot of what they ended up recording wasn't worthy of making it onto the record, and that's why we're sitting here with just merely a 33-minute album. I think what ended up here is cool. I just wish it was longer. I just wish it was a little bit more satisfying. I just wish there was more to grapple with here, because I think the moments on this record that are great are some of Dope Body's best work. I'm feeling a decent to strong 7 on this thing. Tran? Zishin, have you given this record a listen? If you have, what did you think of it? Did you love it? Did you hate it? Why? What do you think I should review next? And that's it. Anthony Fantano, music review internet forever.